Good afternoon. My name is Mike Scanlon, City Manager, City of Osawatomie, Kansas, and this is my Friday update, July 9th, 2021. Last night we had a City Council meeting. It lasted until about 9:30. Most of the meeting was spent talking about our 5-year financial forecast. That forecast is what we use to build our budget for the coming year. But we just don't want to think about the coming year. We want to think about the next 5. How do we position ourselves as a community to take on those important capital projects, let's call that streets, that need to be taken care of in and about town? So that forecast helps us think about not only the money we need to operate our community, but the money we need to invest in our community. Now let's talk a little bit about investing in our community. You'll often hear city managers, city council members talk about capital improvement plans and capital assets. Well, capital assets are power plants, water plants, wastewater plants, then all of the things that connect to them. On the electric side, that's switch gears, that's transformers, that's lines, that's poles. On the water side, that's pumps, that's basins, that's pipes, that's valves, and that's service connections that go to your house. On the wastewater side, that's a sewer plant that collects through what is called a collection system, which are your sewer pipes, so from your house to the sewer plant. All of those things are capital. All of those things are utilities. There's another set of capital assets that aren't utilities, and those capital assets are streets, sidewalks, parks, things that are in parks, picnic tables, shelter houses. So capital assets have two pieces: the public kind, which are streets, sidewalks, and parks, and then the utility kind, which are electric, water, and wastewater. Now it's important to know that there's two kinds because we pay for them two separate ways. In the case of utilities, those are all based on rates, and whether that's a water rate, an electric rate, or a wastewater rate, there's a calculation made that says if we build these facilities and these systems that collect, distribute either water or electricity, this is how much it costs to operate them. And then we try to set aside enough money to replace key pieces of those utilities over time. So utilities are paid by those utility charges that you pay every month. Streets, sidewalks, parks, that's all paid for with general fund money. General fund money is the same money we use to pay for our police, for our administration, for our code enforcement, for our public works department that removes snow from the street and mows the parks and the cemeteries. So those dollars, those general fund dollars, are never mixed with the utility. They stay separate. You do not use money from the electric utility to fix a street. You might transfer money in as an administrative fee or a franchise fee, but you don't put money from the general fund into your utilities. It's meant for general fund purposes. So an important thing to always remember is that capital assets come in two varieties: those that are utility based, and then those that are public based or governmental based, or what I would call general community assets. Now, we fund these two things with things that are called loans, grants, and debt. Loans we typically get for our utilities come from the Kansas Department of Health and Environment, and that's going to be found in our water and our wastewater utilities. I'll give you an example of what that loan process looks like. I'm going to show you a letter that I just received today from KDHE that says we have been approved for a loan. It doesn't mean we're going to take it out. It does mean that we will consider it given what the borrowing rate is and whether or not we can afford it given the rate structure we have within our water fund. So here's what it looks like. Now, that's a loan. A loan has to be repaid. We can get loans at pretty good rates right now through KDHE. I think this one that I'm showing on the screen is 1.33%. I don't think there's anybody outside of us in town that can borrow money that cheaply. Electric is a little different because that is quasi-public, quasi-private. And when I say that, that is an industry that is regulated at some level by the states as it relates to power generation, but distribution and local generation in Kansas is not regulated by the state of Kansas. Where Evergy has to go get a request for a rate increase from the state of Kansas, we don't have to. Municipalities, and there's hundreds of us that have our own utilities and electric utilities, we don't need to seek the approval of the state to adjust our electric rates. We participate in pools, but that rate structure is much different than what you see on the water wastewater side. So those rates and what we collect, we can use on the electric side to issue our own debt. There's really not an agency out there that has a revolving loan fund like KDHE. So we can use our own electric utility to issue debt, which we repay through the ratepayers to upgrade systems, improve systems, replace systems, things like that. I've got a little long today, but I know this is an important topic and I know it's confusing. If you have questions about how we invest in our capital assets and how our capital assets work with our overall budget, don't hesitate to send me an email or call me. Would love to talk to you about it. You have a great weekend. It looks like we're going to have thunderstorms again. Maybe it's going to dry out in 2021, but hopefully it stays cool and we don't get one of those heat domes. Have a great weekend.